What's up, RotoBallers? Jon Mathisen here, and today I'm going over my defense DST rankings for your upcoming 2023 fantasy football drafts. Be sure to check out my previous videos when I talked about my favorite DST sleepers and my top DST targets. All right, jumping into my rankings at number 12, we have the Washington Commanders. Now, I love the talent on this defense. They do have a tough schedule, though. That's why I have them towards the back end of my rankings. But they were the #1 third down defense in the entire NFL last season. They were also top 10 in points allowed and yards allowed last season. And I just love the talent up front they have. They're household names at this point. Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, Chase Young. The Commanders are a defense where you maybe want to play the matchups and stream them. I don't think they're a unit that you could start week in and week out. Number 11, I have the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champs. I think the best thing about this defense is that they have Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback on the other side of the ball. He can turn the opposing offense one-dimensional. They score points in a hurry. They drafted Felix Anudikwe-Uzomah out of Kansas State to replace Frank Clark. He could go through some growing pains, but you're pairing him with Chris Jones up front. You gotta like that. Nick Bolton is a stud at linebacker. He's just a tackling machine, and I'm pretty high on Trent McDuffie, second-year corner out of Washington. Number 10, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. According to Warren Sharp of Sharp Football Analysis, they have the 8th easiest schedule in the NFL this upcoming season. So that's always a bonus. They were top 12 unit last year in points allowed and yards allowed. That was with missing TJ Watt for 7 games. He had a torn pec that I think he injured it in week 1. So he missed 7 games, and even when he was playing, he clearly wasn't 100% healthy. He played through it. He's tough. Mike Tomlin is a defensive-minded head coach. You can count on these guys week in, week out. They're just very reliable. And I think their offense hopefully takes a step forward this year, which can only help the defense. Number 9, we have a similar defense, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. They're consistently a top 10 unit. They were top 10 in yards allowed and top 3 in points allowed. The defense really carried this team last year. They were very inconsistent on offense, especially after Lamar Jackson got hurt. They did lose Calais Campbell and Justin Houston, which is a little concerning, but they brought in Jadeveon Clowney, who should help bolster that front. They still got Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, 2 studs at linebacker. They signed cornerback Rock Ya-Sin and brought in safety Marcus Williams. They're a unit you could start week in and week out, regardless of the matchup. Probably have some boom weeks in there, maybe a couple busts, but overall they're just reliable and they should finish as top 10 unit again this year. My number 8 defense is the New Orleans Saints. According to Warren Sharp, they have the easiest schedule in the entire NFL this upcoming season. They get to play Carolina Panthers twice. That's a rookie quarterback in Bryce Young. Atlanta Falcons twice. Desmond Ridder, he's only got a couple starts under his belt. He's kind of an unknown. And then they get to play Tampa Bay twice with Baker Mayfield starting at quarterback. So, you never know what you're going to get with Baker. They did lose Marcus Davenport in free agency, but they still have Cameron Jordan. They still have Marshawn Lattimore, Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu. Obviously, these are all older players, but they're still productive. They were also just a top 10 unit last year, so they're pretty consistent. Dennis Allen's a defensive-minded head coach. I like the Saints at number 8. Jumping into number 7, we have the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills have a top 5 toughest schedule in the NFL this upcoming season. That's why I have them a little bit lower here. I do like the talent they have on this team. They should be getting Von Miller back. He tore his ACL last season. He's got a shot to actually start week 1. So you pair him with Shaq Lawson up front. That should really help boost the pass rush. They still have Jordan Poyer on the back end. And Tre'Davious White should be healthy. He tore his ACL in 2021 towards the end of the year. And he did make it back, I think, around Thanksgiving last season, but he wasn't the same player. Now he's had a full, healthy camp under his belt. I think he should be back to the player he was before he got his injury. I mean, this guy was one of the best corners in the entire league before that. They still got a defensive-minded head coach in Sean McDermott, and they do have talent at all 3 levels, like I said. Number 6, I have the Denver Broncos. They were actually a really solid unit last season. They were top 5 in forced fumbles, top 5 in interceptions, top 10 in points allowed, and top 12 in yards allowed. They've just had a crummy offense, honestly. Russell Wilson was not himself last year. Wouldn't know what was going on with that. Obviously, they brought Sean Payton over. Hopefully, he can help retool and fix the offense. They did trade Bradley Chubb to the Miami Dolphins last year, but they signed Frank Clark and Zach Allen to help boost their pass rush. They still have Justin Simmons on the back end, still have Patrick Surtain, an all-pro corner. My number 5 defense is the New England Patriots. Now, I would probably have them higher considering they finished as the #1 fantasy defense last season, buoyed by 30 turnovers, but they have the most difficult schedule in the entire NFL this season. That's according to Warren Sharp. Their first 4 games alone are just a murderer's row. And also, I mentioned the 30 turnovers earlier. That's not something you can really hang your hat on year over year. There's a lot of luck involved with turnovers, especially when it comes to like fumble recoveries and things like that. So it's not something that you can expect them to repeat. They're still a well-coached unit overall. I mean, you can't really go wrong with Bill Belichick. And their offense should be much better now that they have a real offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien that should help Mac Jones. The offense should be better. That always helps the defense. Number 4, I have the New York Jets. They were a great unit last year too, but just like a couple other teams we've mentioned on this list, they were hamstrung by a bad offense. We all know they had Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco all taking snaps under center, and they would usually turn the ball over and put the defense in a lot of bad spots. And brought in a couple of defensive tackles from Seattle, Al Woods, Quentin Jefferson. That should help bolster their front. They still got Jordan Whitehead, they still got Quinnen Williams, and reigning Defensive Rookie of the Year, Sauce Gardner. Their schedule's a little tough though. I would have them higher otherwise. Moving on to my number 3 defense, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. We all know the record-breaking season they had last year when they had 70 sacks. I mean, that's unreal. They're not going to do that again. I mean, they might not even come close, but they still could be towards the top of the league in that category. They let Javon Hargrave go in free agency. He signed with the Niners. They still have Hassan Reddick. Jordan Davis is still there. They drafted Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, both out of Georgia. They got a lot of Bulldogs on this defense. Got a veteran secondary still, led by Darius Slay. This is still a solid, strong unit. They just know what they're doing up there in Philly. Number 2, we have the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they led the entire NFL in takeaways last year with 33. Like I said earlier about the Patriots, that's a tough stat to carry over year to year. But I still think they have playmakers at all 3 levels. They got Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. They signed Stephon Gilmore. You pair him with Trayvon Diggs. That's a really solid corner tandem. I don't think Dak's going to turn the ball over as much as he did last year either, which should also help the defense. My number 1 unit, you could have guessed, it's the San Francisco 49ers. They have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL this upcoming season, as if you needed another reason to love this unit. They have reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa. They brought over Javon Hargrave from Philadelphia to help boost that front. They still have All-Pro Fred Warner at linebacker and All-Pro Talanoa Hufanga at safety. You won't be able to stream these guys, obviously, because they're going to get drafted and started week in and week out in your league. So to recap my top 12 defenses for this upcoming fantasy football season, we had the Washington Commanders checking in at number 12, Kansas City Chiefs, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, the New Orleans Saints, the Buffalo Bills, the Denver Broncos, the New England Patriots, the New York Jets, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, and the San Francisco 49ers. I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at EasyMath, and be sure to like and subscribe to RotoBaller's YouTube channel for more great fantasy football analysis.